Ghislaine Maxwell is pleading the fifth before lawmakers. Now, what's interesting about this is that Ghislaine Maxwell has obviously spoken about some of these things that she's been asked about in this instance publicly before. So I don't even understand how like pleading the fifth works in this circumstance. I think you can be compelled to reveal more information if you've previously talked about certain things. Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's, most loyal soldier, who is the primary principal witness on the Epstein saga, was sent to a much nicer prison by the Trump DOJ, and in this quid pro quo scheme that Todd Blanche, Assistant Attorney General or Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who previously was Donald Trump's defense attorney, had this closed door 6-hour interview with Ghislaine Maxwell. In the interview, she basically turned around and said Donald Trump was a wonderful gentleman. Every time I was around him, he was sexy, he was hot. But now that she is being called in front of Congress one more time, as the Epstein files are being unredacted, shouts out to Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna for that, by the way. Now that those files are being unredacted, Ghislaine Maxwell is being asked questions again, and she's pleading the fifth.
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Maxwell appearing virtually before the House Oversight Committee from a Texas prison, where she's serving a 20-year sentence for trafficking minors to Epstein.
Have you ever facilitated the sexual abuse of any minor or adult woman by Mr. Epstein?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Dude, it's like you're currently in prison for that. I don't understand. Look, I'm not a lawyer. I know there's some lawyers in the chat. Maybe you guys can help me with this. But isn't she already in prison for that? It's like asking Ted Bundy if he actually killed people. What do you mean? What do you mean? Hasn't she already answered these questions? Yes, she already had perjured herself in court. She lied in court, okay? When she was answering these questions, she lied in court. And the only reason why they dropped the perjury charges is because they had already hit her with the other stuff anyway. They had already successfully prosecuted her for committing the crimes in general. She will only speak if Trump gives her clemency, her lawyer said. Oh my God. Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer says the client will only speak if Trump grants her clemency. Ghislaine Maxwell invoked her constitutional right to silence this morning before Representative James Comer and the House Oversight Committee. Here's the statement I gave to the committee explaining why. Members of the committee, on my advice, Ghislaine Maxwell will respectfully invoke her Fifth Amendment right to silence and decline to answer questions today, even though she would very much like to answer your questions. If this committee and the American public truly want to hear the unfiltered truth about what happened, there's a straightforward path. Ms. Maxwell is prepared to speak fully and honestly if granted clemency by President Trump. Only she can provide the complete account. Some may not like what they hear, but the truth matters. For example, both President Trump and President Clinton are innocent of any wrongdoing. Ms. Maxwell alone can explain why, and the public is entitled to that explanation. Oh my God, we are led by a nation of charlatans. It's coming. I need you guys to understand that this is probably going to happen. Ghislaine Maxwell is going to, oh God, that I joke about ends up becoming reality, and I hate it. I hate this. A couple months ago, this was a joke. I was saying this as a joke. Now they're saying it openly. They're saying it out loud. They're like, yeah, give us clemency, free Ghislaine Maxwell from prison, and she will tell everybody how innocent Donald Trump and Bill Clinton actually are. What a psychotic situation. And it's wild because everybody knows what's up. Everybody knows what's up. Everybody knows what's up. They've been asked this question for months. If they wanted to rule it out, they'd have ample opportunities. They clearly see something benefit. They see some benefit in dangling a part in front of a convicted sex offender. Yeah, they do. And the benefit is called having her lie about Donald Trump's infallibility and innocence, and perhaps even Bill Clinton as well. I would be really interested in finding out if there was an additional closed door meeting that took place where they were listen, mutually assured pedophilia destruction. Obviously, don't fuck up the game here. Let's just get Ghislaine out. Let's have Ghislaine basically say openly that, we're both innocent, and then, and then have the CIA wrap it up later. You know what I mean? When she's a free woman, right? Have some QAnon guy walk up to her and dome her in a crowded street, and then we go, oh, how could this have happened? Activate a CIA sleeper cell like a Thomas Crooks type person. There's a million of them in America. Good old heart attack gun. No heart attack gun necessary. Gun violence is such a constant in American society. Why couldn't they kill her right now? You're literally seeing why they haven't killed her, chatter. Because she is the principal witness and co-conspirator to all of these crimes. She is the linchpin that remains. Because Jeffrey Epstein was not suicided, obviously, but murdered. We know that, right? I mean, come on. Remember all the people that were trying to tell me oh no, Jeffrey Epstein was really, really sad. Okay, why the did the FBI actually say that he committed suicide a day prior to his actual murder? The reason why Ghislaine Maxwell is currently alive is because she has played ball. They probably have more confidence in her playing ball. I mean, she literally did try to defend all these people like Alan Dershowitz, Donald Trump, and many others in a court setting. She didn't just like leak all of this information in an effort to like get some sort of innocence scheme in some sort of scheme where she would get like a lighter sentence or anything. So the reason why they're keeping her alive is because she can come out as the principal witness and play a major role in this propaganda that Donald Trump and Bill Clinton and all these elite pedophiles aren't elite pedophiles at all. They played no role.
Her lawyer says she'll answer questions fully and honestly, but only if granted clemency by President Trump. Then adding both President Trump and President Clinton are innocent of any wrongdoing. Miss Maxwell alone can explain why.
Yeah, this is the reason why she's not dead, okay? This is the reason why she's not dead. If you're wondering why they haven't burned her, this is why.
The Republican Speaker of the House says she's clearly just trying to cut a deal.
She's pleading the fifth and trying to make deals. She needs to tell the truth. It's long overdue.
But President Trump has not ruled out a pardon for Maxwell. And this morning, there are new questions about what Trump knew about Epstein's inappropriate behavior and when. Buried in the 3 million pages of Epstein files was this FBI document from 2019, first reported by the Miami Herald. A former Palm Beach police chief who was investigating Epstein said Donald Trump called him in the mid-2000s as word got out that Epstein was charged with sex crimes. Police Chief Michael Ryder told the FBI years later that Trump called the Palm Beach Police Department to tell him, "Thank goodness you're stopping him."
Dude. This is the funniest one that like all of the groypers are using to declare Trump's innocence. Dog, this document's from 2019 after Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. Okay? Miss me with this bullshit. People were like, oh, see, he knew about it in 2006. It's like, oh, really? So why did he speak only in 2019? They're trying to play fast and loose. This document is not from 2006, chat. This document is from 2019. It's bullshit. And I've seen a lot of people like America First, the AF Post or whatever, posting this. You got to ask yourself why. Why is AF First posting that? I know why. Because at the end of the day, they know where their bread is buttered, okay? They are still not in defense of the truth. They're not working to arrive at some like real conclusion. Their first principles revolve around defending the conservative movement, defending the Trump administration, even if they are in the pocket of like elite pedophiles. Elite pedophiles who are Jewish, which you're supposed to hate if you're a Nazi, right? Like it's one of those things that like is adding insult to injury from the perspective of white nationalist anti-Semite, right? This was in 2019, Trump told Palm Beach police chief everyone knew about Epstein that Maxwell was evil. This also makes it a little bit harder. In a 2019 FBI interview with the writer containing the Justice Department's Epstein case files, an interview conducted in October 2019 and not previously reported, has shed new light on Trump's involvement in the early stages of the 2006 Jeffrey Epstein investigation in Palm Beach, Florida. It also raises questions about how much Trump knew about Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's crimes. So what makes this really strange for the record is that if Trump in 2019 said Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein were evil, why did he in public say that he wishes Ghislaine Maxwell well? Because if you remember, Trump, when asked about Ghislaine Maxwell, when Ghislaine Maxwell was also being prosecuted, said, "Oh, I wish her well." Remember?
You said, quote, "I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is." Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a person well?
First of all, I don't know that, but I do know that
she has. She's been arrested for that. You know
her
that.
friend or boyfriend,
Epstein,
was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck. Let them prove somebody was guilty. I mean, do you know that?
Oh, so you're saying you hope she doesn't die in jail? Is that what you mean by wish her well?
Her boyfriend died in jail, and people are still trying to figure out, how did it happen? Was it suicide? Was he killed? And I do wish her well. I'm not looking for anything bad for her. I'm not looking bad for anybody. And they took that and
I mean, she's a child sex alleged child sex trafficker.
Big deal. But all it is her boyfriend died. He died in jail. Was he killed? Was it suicide? I do. I wish her well.
That was strange. He's also floating a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. That's strange. That's weird. That's odd. There's a major inconsistency here. How odd. In the past, I used to think that the real dead man switch that exists was not in the hands of Jeffrey Epstein, but potentially Ghislaine Maxwell, and that's part of the reason why she's still alive. I'm beginning to think that it might not just be the dead man switch, but also beyond that, like as the principal co-conspirator and key witness to all of this stuff, Ghislaine Maxwell holds all the cards now in terms of maintaining Trump's innocence and all these other like psychotic pedophilic elite and their innocence.
Everyone has known he's been doing this. The FBI report also states Trump told Ryder that he was around Epstein once when teenagers were present, and Trump got the hell out of there. Trump was one of the very first people to call when people found out they were investigating Epstein. Trump was friends with Epstein for more than a decade. He has repeatedly denied any knowledge of Epstein's crimes. Here's what he told me back in July.
I don't think she, quote unquote, kills herself in prison. I think if that were to happen, it would have happened a long time ago. And the very fact that it hasn't happened up until this very moment means that she either has some assurances, like some post-mortem assurances where like there's a dead man switch or something, and it just like leaks all of this data, like all of the hard evidence that these guys are all pedophiles, like, you know, videos and stuff that are impossible to combat because they know she's capable of playing ball. Whereas maybe they didn't have that same assurance for Jeffrey Epstein. Maybe Jeffrey Epstein flew too close to the sun. That's what I think. How did Epstein not have a dead man switch, or was that Maxwell? I think Jeffrey Epstein thought he had a dead man switch, and that dead man switch was Ghislaine Maxwell. I think Ghislaine Maxwell burned Jeffrey Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell always had long-running ties to first the OSS through her father, then to the CIA and Mossad, of course, and all of these other elites. You know, if I'm putting my tinfoil conspiracy hat on, I'm thinking Jeffrey Epstein thought his dead man switch was Ghislaine Maxwell, and Ghislaine Maxwell never used that dead man switch once Jeffrey Epstein was killed. Also, there are files showing the FBI purposely fucked with the cameras and hard drives in the prison. Of course they did, because they killed him. What are we talking about? I mean, none of this stuff is like even new. We just have even more information now, but we knew that that was the case, right? That was part of the reason why I kept saying, I don't give a f what the New York Times says. Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. Jeffrey Epstein was assassinated. This is ridiculous. And a lot of people would try to argue with me on this. You know, it's totally ridiculous. Or if that 4chan post is real, they switched him out. No, they didn't switch him out. They killed him.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm under the penalty?
A rare window inside the Texas prison where Ghislaine Maxwell is serving 20 years for sex trafficking. The new video shows Maxwell appearing yesterday via video link in front of Congress.
Dude, how can we make fun of France or England ever again and call them like pedophile island or anything like that, when not only is the American elite just as pedophilic, but also at least their populations have been more frustrated with the elite pedophiles than ours has been. Or even when we are frustrated with the elite pedophilia, the pedophilic cabal, there's nothing that takes place. There's no push, there's no motion, there's no momentum to enact justice.
In a closed-door meeting. For survivors, it was a moment for answers. Instead, this.
Ms. Maxwell, were you a close friend and confidant of Jeffrey Epstein?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. I therefore invoke my right to silence. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right.
As expected, Maxwell exercised her right to the Fifth Amendment, meaning she can choose not to give evidence that may incriminate her. However, her lawyer said Maxwell would be prepared to speak fully and honestly if granted clemency by President Trump.
I'm going to have to assert my Fifth, Sixth, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
If it all sounds familiar, that's because it is. Survivors say it reinforces a pattern that they have long described from both Epstein and Maxwell: self-preservation over accountability.
Well, Ghislaine Maxwell certainly has critical information that would help us understand exactly, what happened and who was there at varying times. Some of that we've been able to piece together through the information from other witnesses, et cetera. But she was definitely at the center of this. The problem is she will never tell the truth.